Hello, everyone. Good morning. Happy Monday. And also, hope everybody, if you've got the day off, good for you. And I hope you certainly maximize some of the self-care components there. But welcome to our Monday morning weekly setup. My name is Katie Gideon, and I am dialing from Edinburgh, Scotland. I am super excited to be the facilitator on camera today, and I want to give a huge shout out to my co-facilitator, Jennifer O, who will be in the chat. She is joining from Texas. We are and still we're, Team Texas. So always excited to, I feel like, crash the Jennifer party usually on Mondays. But so excited to be here. I love seeing all of our returning socialers, and would certainly, if you are a first time weekly setup socialer or first social, go ahead and put that in the chat for anyone who is new here. Love seeing all those. I would also say if you're new on a Monday, just because your schedule is a little bit different. But welcome. We're excited that you're here. We're excited that you're going to set up your week with us. If you are new, and as a reminder, just set the chat to everyone instead of excuse me, hosts and panelists, which will come just to Jennifer and I. But it looks like we got quite a few people from kind of all over the place. I'm seeing both coasts all the time. Oh, there we go. First timer, Sonia, welcome. We are so excited. Again, this may be definitely very much a routine for others. If you are new to this, I would say definitely make sure you have your journal handy. If you don't have the February journal because you started in March, don't worry about it. Grab those Post-it notes. Take notes. We certainly like the screenshots are amazing. Ask all the questions in the chat. Certainly love to get excited about setting up, especially with new people, but we do know it can be a little overwhelming. The chat and some will go a little fast during some of the sharings, but you can always click one of the messages to hold it and then scroll up and down. Same thing with if you just want to turn off the chat because you just want to work in your journal, that's perfectly fine. If you just want to turn off me and the music because you just want to be here in kind of your own little world, also great. But we are certainly glad that you're here. What I did kind of notice as I've kind of been sitting on some of these socials as well as the app is that we've kind of hit a little bit of a dip of people, not quite tracking to what they really want to do, not touching their journal nearly as much as they would have liked. And I feel like everyone, like I said, I felt like last week was a little bit of a weird week. There was something in the water. And that's okay. I always like to reframe it of we've got a new week, we've got a new start. And so maybe what you were kind of tracking or the way you were tracking or the things you wanted to do, maybe you need to make just a little bit of a change so that you can get it done. But at the end of the day, do not be upset. All movement is good movement, whether it is forward or back, it is still movement. And at the end of the day, you are still here. You have set aside time for yourself this morning, and we are glad to work on this setup with you. So as always, be kind and courteous to yourself and others. No promotions or spam. Please respect everyone's privacy. No hate speech or bullying. Limit repetitive product and accessory questions. And while Jennifer and I have some answers when it comes to customer care questions, most of them will need to be diverted to headquarters at hello@silkandsonder.com, as we do not have specific answers to anybody's accounts or those type of statuses. And then as always, Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, but you are responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. And that's, again, we want to be here to celebrate all of the wins, provide some support for maybe some of the things that didn't go so well if you're just having a really tough time. But at the end of the day, nothing in this should trigger you on how you're here. We love you just the way you are. We are so glad that you're here just the way you are. And we want to continue to propel that forward as we are all on our own unique self-care journeys. So we are continuing with this month's theme of confidence. And for me, I was going to look at kind of confidence this week as finding the balance between my motivating times of my inner critic at not the expense of my self-confidence. I feel like I have a very, I can't live with her, can't live without my inner critic. I feel like she is my voice of reasons at times. She is that intuition that you really got to follow sometimes. She is my guardian angel. And then sometimes she's just kind of a jerk when she gets on her little megaphone and tells me all of the shortcomings that I have, when really I just need her to kind of sit in the corner and maybe just Small golf clap would be helpful. So I am trying to kind of strike that balance, because at the end of the day, self-confidence I find is definitely heavily triggered, but my value and my self-worth and all of those kind of things that make you uniquely me have absolutely nothing to do with my inner critic. It is just my confidence in those things that I have come prepared with everything that I have to offer, and I will handle whatever is thrown my direction the best I can, with or without my inner critic support. So that's kind of the direction I'm looking at. I've got a really kind of what I think is a really great visual on the mind map section that I'll share with you there. So I feel like it's another one of those when I'm at my lowest of lows, I would really like her to help out a little bit more. But I definitely know she's there cheering me on with the best of intentions. She just sometimes gets sidetracked with what's important at the moment. So with that being said, our agenda is going to be the confidence mind map, the Bud Thorn exercise, and then we'll move into the weekly setups. So if you have not set up the confidence mind map with us, we are actually on week 3. This is something that is unique to the weekly setups, and it is not a written prompt in your journal. You'll turn to a blank page if you haven't already set it up. If you have, go ahead and turn to that blank page that you're using. And if you show up late or miss an event, don't worry. We provide the previously week prompts at each of the socials for the weekly setup, so you can always catch back up. But do not feel like you need to always play catch up with these. These are just a really great opportunity to kind of dive a little bit deeper into the theme. But just like anything, this is not for any sort of grade or credit or anything like that. So if there's a question you really want to dive into, dive into. If there's one that just doesn't speak to you, you can do it a little bit later. You don't have to do it at all. These are merely an opportunity to kind of dive a little bit deeper, build a little bit of a relationship with the theme, and figure out how we can incorporate some of those into action items for our weekly setup, either under a weekly goal or a weekly to-do, or in some of those habits and activities. And you don't have to come up with the answers today. That's what's great about these is on a weekly basis, is if you want to set aside time a little bit later in the week to kind of come back and add to this, you always can. So with that being said, week 3, the prompt, we're going to look at confidence in the qualities that make you unique. So we want you to consider personal qualities that you like about yourself. Think about aspects of your character and personality, or things you like about the way you look, speak, or feel. And then here is kind of my example. This is that graphic that I was talking about, that confidence can fluctuate, but at the end of the way, your self-worth doesn't, which is why I want to strike that balance between self-confidence and my inner critic. Other things to kind of remember as you're thinking of the qualities that make you unique is to be gentle and kind to yourself with this one. You can always take a few deep breaths if you need them, or maybe this is something you need to do at a different date, different time, a little bit later. But you can also think about this from how you love and how those that love and support you describe you, and ask kind of what is something that's unique to you. I went to Maya's weekly setup social last night, and she always recommends, if your furry friend or pet were to write a love letter to you, what would they thank you for those qualities about you? You can always focus on maybe just one question or add more answers to the prompt. And also what I found out is that this wasn't going to be just kind of a single word. I found it was more of like combination of phrases or terms, instead of just trying to find a single quality or a couple like single word qualities. For me, it was kind of a combination of a bunch of different qualities. So some of the stuff I came up with is, I am consistent in my boundaries. I have optimism, but very much grounded in reality. A lot of my friends, family, and coworkers come to me for advice as a pretty solid sounding board. And then I also am a big fan of my combination of kind of modern nostalgia, where the quirky things that I love Harry Potter, I love The Wizard of Oz, and I always find magical ways to incorporate them into my day. So this is actually a Harry Potter sweatshirt. But I like to kind of keep it, as I have grown up, my habits and activities know when to appropriately show themselves and not. But this is a really fun opportunity to kind of reflect again on what those qualities that make you uniquely you. So there are no right or wrong answers here. We're so glad that you're here, and we're so glad that we hope that you will share some of these qualities that you like about yourself, because we definitely want to celebrate and find the inspiration here amongst everybody. So we will see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. What I love about this particular kind of question, as well as celebrating the confidence, is just how everyone is cheering themselves on. The optimism, excitement, and self confidence that just kind of oozes from the chat, I think is really magical. And I really do wish, and I think all of us need to certainly take those moments to celebrate ourselves more kind of in this fashion. But thank you everyone for sharing. I love seeing those. And I really think that this page in particular for the mind maps under this theme is this should definitely be one of those that if you're having a bad day, a rough day, or just need some extra kind of self-support, maybe come back to this page, read what you love to celebrate about yourself, how you build that confidence and what you bring. And I think it's so great to be able to share all of that with you guys this morning. So thank you. We are now going to move to the Rose Bud Thorn. This is on page 44 in your February journal. And so Rosebud Thorn is a really great exercise that you can do kind of whenever. Right now, it is certainly attached to the weekly setup because it gives you an opportunity to just kind of acknowledge the roller coaster of life that is, where you have the highs and you have the lows and everything in between. So it's a good opportunity to reflect on the rose, which was a highlight, a win, something that went well, something that made you happy, something that you're proud of. A bud is an emerging opportunity, something that you're getting excited about, something that you're looking forward to, maybe something on the horizon that you're not quite sure if it's a rose or a thorn or what the possibilities can hold. And sometimes the bud can be as simple as the start of a new week or the start of a new day. So it doesn't always have to be kind of those big planning things that you need to do. And then the thorn is going to be maybe that low point or a challenge, something that didn't go so well, speed bump, roadblock kind of your week. And as always, we love to celebrate the roses, get excited with you about those buds, as well as provide some extra support for those thorns. For me this week, my rose was I applied to the University of Edinburgh's online MBA program, and I was conditionally accepted pending a further assessment because I'm an international student. But really excited. It is something that I definitely need. I come from a technical science background and I'm having to masquerade in the business world. So now to build up that confidence with the knowledge that I know I need. My bud, also as I'm transitioning from living in the US to somewhere else, I've had a battle with bread, where just in a sense of it goes stale really quickly. I haven't quite mastered it. So I did not know that on my bingo card of 2024, purchasing a bread box was going to be on the list. But I did, and it's made me really happy thus far. So I believe I'm going to have a nice, long, wonderful relationship with said bread box. So that's my bud for the week. And then Thorn, this is not an angry dog. It is a tired dog. It is yawning. My sleep is not what it needs to be. And that's kind of my own doing. Need to make the conscious effort to go to bed and actually get the sleep that I need. So those are my Rosebud Thorn for this week. I would love to read your Rosebud Thorns in the chat. So share if you are comfortable, and we will see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Please keep sharing those road bud thorns in the chat. It sometimes is just as simple as putting these out into the universe that I feel like always makes you feel a little bit better, because at the end of the day, it is the celebration of what you did well, the acknowledgement of things that didn't go well, and an opportunity to kind of turn those into actionable items, similar to the intentions and reflections from the previous that we do in the monthly setup, the start, stop, and continue. So maybe in order for you to kind of keep getting those roses, you need to continue something. For the buds, maybe it's you start something to kind of put that into full fruition. And for the thorns, sometimes it can be something as simple as stop. Stop doing something, stop maybe it's more of a mental barrier, stop kind of beating yourself up for those things. And then I did see that some folks there, rosebud or thorn is multiple things. I always love when that happens. When your rosebud and your thorn is the same thing. I feel like my parents are coming to visit and my rosebud thorn is going to kind of be in all of those categories coming up in March, where it's like the excitement, the anticipation, the fact that my parents are coming, but then also the fact that I now have to share my space with other people. So thank you everyone for sharing. We love the opportunity to just be able to acknowledge how the week went in all its kind of roller coaster glory. So now we are going to move into the weekly planner setup. So this is going to be page 46 and 47 of your February journal. And then as just a kind of friendly reminder is just because of the examples that we provide here, or the perspective that I provide, does not mean that is the only way to journal. If you want to repurpose something, absolutely. If you do not want to repurpose and you don't need to change anything, definitely do that as well. This is absolutely your journal and it's your journey. And so sometimes you're able to kind of carry over the same things. I'm definitely a creature of habit. So a lot of my habits and activities stay the same. My weekly to-dos tend to change, but sometimes how I approach my weekly to-dos each week is a little bit different. So do not limit yourself into just what is written on the page, because you can always take a pen, pencil, marker, cross it out, write something different, take out that washi tape and cover it. If you don't have the need for a particular section, put a big old sticker on it, draw a big old happy face, or just a big old like nope statement. The ability to do this is anything that you need in order to move forward and progress with the self-care journey that you're on. So for this week, we're going to start at the top of page 46 with This Week I Want to Feel. The way I approach this particular question is I ask, how do I want to feel this time next week? For me, that's a really good kind of grounding point where I can always set a baseline. So when I get a little lost in my week, either with the highs and the lows of the week, I can always come back to center and be like, how can I refocus to achieve how I want to feel this time next week? So a couple ways to approach that are, it can be a word, it can be a phrase, it can be an affirmation. We see a lot of folks that pick kind of a word and maybe bring in the definition of how they want to incorporate it. Maybe you want to feel more something and less something else. Maybe you want to feel a different word each day. Maybe you want to connect some of these things to yourself, or sometimes it's just a sticker. So I'm going to turn on the music for just a little bit and let us know how you want to feel this time next week. For This Week I Want to Feel on page 46. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. And Jennifer definitely brought up a really good point, is these don't have to be new words each and every week. Sometimes there's going to be ones where you're going to want to try a lot of different things, have a different perspective, or there's going to be other times where you're really kind of narrowing in on a very specific intention or a specific reflection, and you want to carry over into kind of the same week. For me, relentless has kind of been my theme for this month, it seems. So I've carried that over kind of from week to week. And that's because I'm wanting to be purposeful and relentless with my time and priorities, because I have a lot of things that I want to do. I want to feed my hobbies. I want to do a great job at work. I want to stay connected to my friends and family. So I'm having to take a little bit more of a tougher look on how I'm spending my time. And relentless has been the summary of it. So this is like third time this in a while I've picked that word. So thank you everyone for sharing. We are still on page 46. We're going to move down to the weekly major 3 goals. Now, just because it says weekly major 3 goals does not mean that that's the only definition of it. Maybe these are your major 3 goals. Maybe these are your weekly minor 3 goals. Maybe these are just your major goals with no number. Maybe you have 1 goal. Maybe you have 2 goals. Maybe you got 5 goals. So don't be restricted to how this is defined, because there are a couple ways to kind of do this. I always think of it as the kind of mental and emotional reminders that I need in order to get through my week. These are kind of the squishy pieces that I can't quite turn into an actionable item, but these are really helpful reminders. You can always use stickers. Stickers are a great summation of those. You can also break them down into different categories. Maybe you have a goal for your profession, your mind, body, heart. Maybe it's more for your school, self, and family. Maybe it's a productive, a peaceful, and a powerful. We're big fans of alliteration. So the frog, fun, and fierce is always creative. And then there's kind of a direct tie between the weekly 3 major goals. So this person breaks it down by mind, body, and soul. And then on their to-do list, they have 3 specific things that they want to achieve in each of those categories. You can also completely repurpose this for a self-care, or maybe this is where your routines are, your morning or evening routines. Maybe it is just the 3 reminders. For me, it's a good set are always breathe, hydrate, and move. The breathe and the sleep kind of go interchangeably, because I think sometimes I forget that sleeping is not just meditation, it's actual sound sleeping. I've thought the let go, leap into, and learn was also creative. But you can certainly tie these 2 together, the weekly to-dos and the weekly major 3 goals, or you can keep it separately. Let us know how you approach these particular ones, and we'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Definitely can be a little tricky to kind of tackle all these, especially when you're not feeling your best. But that's where the flexibility comes here because maybe three goals is not going to be what you need this week. Each week is going to look different from week to week, depending on, those things that you can control and the things that you can't control. So definitely give yourself a little bit of grace on how you're going to approach that. And again, sometimes it's just as simple as, give your body what you need, listen to it, control only what you can control. All of those things are really great. I love seeing all of the other kind of category ideas, which then leads us into our next section. So still on page 46 under the weekly to-dos. And this is one that I've actually found for me changes quite a bit. I am normally a ToDos fan because I like the celebration of things that I get done. But there are times where I start to carry too many to-dos over from week to week. And so that's when I do throw in an Eisenhower matrix, because maybe I do still need to do all of these things to get it done, but maybe I just need to reprioritize how I think about them. So the Eisenhower matrix is the do, decide, delegate, or drop, or the do, decide, delegate, and delete. And so I have found that the combination of an Eisenhower matrix for 1 week to a ToDos list most of the other weeks tends to be a little bit on the effective side. And then, yes, I did have a dread list that I had to carry things over. I think specifically I had some light bulbs here that I was going to say, I'm going to be the independent me and change them myself. And that was on my list for like a month plus. Embarrassingly long, but when I re-changed it to the Eisenhower matrix, I realized that I needed to delegate that out, and it was fixed within the week. So stubborn me learned a lot, and then I got magic of light in my rooms. So the ability to kind of make this flexible is, I think, really great. The Pomodoro technique also works where you kind of pick a task, set a timer until you work through those tasks until you get the number of tasks done. You can always combine it under a ToDos bingo, but maybe this is more of your weekly appointments or weekly meetings. I know someone had mentioned the need, want, hope. The need, want, hope is again, and that can be also a need and want. That's just another way of prioritizing your list of to-dos. Sometimes it is also all about the visual. The pyramid at the bottom, I think, is really creative because it's all the things you need to do so that you can stand on top of your mountain of accomplishment by the end of the week. Maybe you kind of want to focus on just the to-bes. And that you want to be positive, be powerful, be productive, be proud, any sort of alliteration word. Or maybe this is where you're like, I don't do to-dos here. To-dos go under my meal plan. So this is where I track my workouts and my exercise. Maybe this is where you have your cleaning bingo because those are specific things you want to do. Or this is just a really nice space to track the weekly wins, or don't forget your happy thoughts. And again, the one in the middle is just another kind of recategorizing the to-do list. So these are calls that you need to make, errands you need to run, follow-ups you need to do, and what things that you already have scheduled. And then again, another bingo board to include not only the things you want to do, but the things that you have to do, because a lot of our weekly to-dos are heavily dictated by time that is not always ours. So there's a couple different ways to do this, but as again, I have found that this one changes from week to week and I get excited about it because we know that this week is going to look a little bit different than maybe a week in August. And when you start dealing with the holidays, man, these to-do lists is all over the place. So I'd say if you find yourself struggling with kind of completing a to-do list or coming up with it, I would absolutely recommend changing your approach to it, because sometimes all you need is a new perspective, a new approach, or a new mentality. And I think you'll find quite a bit of success there. So I will give you guys some time to work on this, and I will see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Um, Loved the conversation that was kind of going on about sometimes this is the one that gets changed just a little bit, because some people are certainly very reward driven. And I think, attitude is everything. So maybe you need a little bit of help on the prioritization side, or maybe you just need help on the motivation side, but the ability to kind of use these each week just to kind of see what you need or what you kind of want to do, I think it's really great. So I think this is one of those really adaptable sections, whether you use it or not. So we are still on page 46. We're now at the bottom of the habits and activities. Maya came up with a new word last night. She said habits and activities is one word. So now we're calling them habities. So the habities section, which is a combination of habit and activities. This is usually a really good way to kind of either pull in some of your monthly intentions and monthly trackers. The difference between the monthly habit tracker and weekly is I tend to carry over kind of the same 2 or 3 things from week to week, just because I really want to prioritize setting time aside for that. And that's usually move, read, and journal. And between those 3 things, I carry those over from week to week. And that's because then I overlay what I call the lens of reality for the week. Because I definitely consider what my workload is going to be, what the weather is going to be. And that's where I kind of manage my expectations on how realistically am I going to get this done. Because sometimes my movement is, I would really like to do kind of a traditional, what I would consider the like 30, 45-minute workout. But if I'm really busy or I'm tired, maybe just my 20-minute commute or walk to work is going to be the movement for the day. So I have found that once I kind of start overlaying this reality, I'm actually more likely to be happy with how I am tracking these things, because I think one of the bigger frustrations I would run into when I would get here that I wasn't tracking those things was, one, I didn't set myself up for success, or 2, maybe these really weren't the things I needed to be focusing on that week. So with that being said, you can certainly have 5 activities, or maybe you just need 3 or 2 or 1, or maybe these are going to be habits and activities that you want to stop. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is a really good approach, where you want to do something 5 times, 4 times, 3 times, 2 times, 1 time. Is a great kind of initial setup, but you don't even have to use a goal at all. Maybe this is more just kind of the helpful ideas for the be kind to yourself, accept yourself, get enough sleep, more fresh foods. I do know that Jennifer will also reference some of her journal components. So one of the habits and activities she always does is to pull things up from the monthly tracker, or verify the monthly tracker, or check the monthly tracker, check your monthly intentions. I like how the one at the top broke down the weeks and the weekends, because we know that sometimes our work week, the traditional Monday to Friday, looks a little bit different than the weekends. So maybe those habities will look a little bit different between those two. Maybe it also is just you want 1 or 2 things. Maybe it's, I always recommend to include something fun. So maybe you are connecting a hobby of the day, which this person has the hobby of the day, their hobby of the day, they pick from their hobby bingo that they put on the shopping list. Maybe it's also a, New York time puzzle, be it the Wordle, the connections, kind of all of those things. Maybe this is kind of where your self-care lives. Or maybe it's something as watch a sunrise and sunset, turn on some music and dance. I'm also a big visual person, so I love any sort of iconography that I can associate with it, because it always makes me smile. So I pulled back the winter self-care as well, because I feel like what I saw is whether everyone kind of got a little bit of a sneak preview of spring, but now it's back to kind of colder, rainier, more wintry vibes. So maybe we need to revisit some of those winter self-care ideas. And then I'm always a big fan of, can you find some of those things that are worth smiling about, so that you can start pulling some of those roses or wins each day as a way to kind of track those. So let us know what habities you're tracking, and we'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Love seeing all the difference in habits and activities that you're tracking. But again, what I love is still seeing all of the uniqueness that everyone is tailoring this to for whatever they need. And sometimes again, it's not going to change from week to week. Sometimes it is going to look completely different each and every time. And sometimes there's going to be those times that you're on vacation or you have people over and you want to be more present. And this one gets a big old X through it as a big old note because you want to be doing just about anything else from it. So again, the opportunities for this to be flexible with what you need. And that's usually kind of the first thing I ask myself. If I didn't quite track as well as I would have liked was this something that I really needed? Or was it just something that I put down there because I thought that's what I wanted? Because I feel like, again, the duality of need versus want is another one of those battles that is always an internal war that is raging. So thank you everyone for sharing. Now we are going to flip over to page 47 in your February journal. I refer to this as the B-side. I'm a big music fan, so if you've seen my socials before, I refer to it as the B-side, just in a sense of the page that we just completed. I consider that the A-side. Those are the things that I use all the time. Those are the tried and true. That is my week to week at a minimum. The B-side has some really great gems when I really want to sit and listen, or if it's something that I really need. So that was kind of the opinion and it took me a couple years to finally get to that, but I finally gave myself the permission because I feel like I was kind of phoning this page in because it wasn't really something I needed all the time, wasn't something I was really using it. But when we talk about the meal plan, I think this is a really great one that you can repurpose. You can absolutely use it as a meal plan. And I always get really excited when it might magically morph back into it, or if that's how you've always used it. I've also used it as kind of a real-time tracker for intake, especially if I start to feel kind of symptomatic. I have an autoimmune condition, ulcerative colitis. So obviously food intake can heavily impact that. So I have tracked those things in real time when I feel like, is it, a superficial flare, or do I need to actually talk to somebody about it? You can also use it as maybe this is where your kind of weekly to-dos are, or your daily to-do lists. We are seeing kind of a little bit of a shift into kind of more of the journal focused, where this is the meal plan for the soul. So this is where you write down some of those journal prompts that you want to dive into on the weekly spreads. Or maybe this is where you, again, kind of have some reflection prompts. Maybe this is where you put the affirmations. Someone wanted to feel composed this time next week. So they did a how did I show composure today? Same thing with someone wanted to feel strong. So it was how did I show strength today? You also have the opportunity to turn it into a clothing plan. I am a big fan of this, especially when I travel for work. It's a way to maximize packing without overpacking, and also let you kind of show it up there. I also think it's certainly good for, especially if I know I'm going to be working from home, so that I don't keep showing it to the same meetings in the same outfits. So I think it's great for as any sort of clothing tracker. Someone also has this as kind of the daily chore list or the daily to-do list. Someone is moving it as a word of the day, so they carry over that word over into the weekly reflections so that they can, think a little bit on the particular word that they picked for that day. The one second from the right, they are extremely creative and came up with a haiku each day. So that was where they put in the meal plan. So the meal plan is absolutely a great way to use it as indeed a meal plan or repurpose it for what you need. Same thing with the mind body health plan. I feel like this is another one of those that can be repurposed often, and it usually can go hand in hand with the meal plan. So maybe you don't track all of the meals for the meal plan, but you only track dinners because you have a large group that you're feeding for. So maybe this is a better place for those dinners, the kind of large group meals, or it can be the alliteration, motivation Monday, talk it out Tuesday, walking Wednesday. Maybe it's a mind spirit health plan. Or maybe it's you're asking yourself, this is how I feel, so this is what I need. Maybe this is where you put your journal prompts. Maybe you've got no use for the mind body health plan this week, so it's just a reminder of observe and not absorb. Stickers are always a popular place to put there. Maybe you want to focus on the 7 types of rest each day. Maybe you have a chore chart here. Asking yourself, how did you care for yourself that day? Or maybe you've completely revamped it under the routines. Maybe this is a reading log. Another, again, on the theme of repurposing is that shopping list. This is maybe where the daily rituals go, maybe your self-care reminders. I know this is definitely a popular spot for those bingos. So it's celebrating the wins. Maybe it's a boring stuff bingo, a just for fun bingo. The person that did a hobby for the day under the habits and activities, this is their hobby bingo, where they wrote down their different hobby options. And then I also loved the ideas for mini breaks at work. I do still go into an office occasionally. And so being chained to your desk, I feel sometimes you got to make that conscious effort to get up and do something else. Or maybe it is, again, a shopping list as the buy, don't buy, all of those options. So I'm going to give you a chance to kind of work on this page. Let us know if you repurpose this or let us know if you use it as is. And we'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Loved seeing all of the ways that you use this page. And then again, the bottom of that page is the I am loving. This is an opportunity for you to just kind of celebrate anything and everything that you're loving. Right now, the bread box is pretty high on my loving list. But you can definitely throw in quotes there, movies, songs, lyrics, any of those things. It's a great place to kind of celebrate there. Also a good place if you maybe struggle a little bit to find your roses, maybe that's a good place to start tracking those roses. And if you have not done the currently page on page 39, definitely try and tackle it. I am a big fan because it comes with 3 lines. This is just kind of, what are you loving? What are you feeling? What are you enjoying? And I do it at the beginning of the month, middle of the month, and the end of the month just to see how my month went. And it's, again, another kind of simple way of, how can you acknowledge what you're just currently liking or doing in all of these categories? And then with that being said, we have actually reached the end of our hour together. Thank you everyone for joining us. We thoroughly enjoyed having you here. Thank you for being so supportive and loving and sharing all of those things. As always, Jennifer is going to start putting in the chat the links to the survey as well as the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is not searchable, but you can always find a social there, including some of the life workbook socials from a little while ago. You can certainly find them there. If you are late to a social, if you have to leave early, or everything in between, we have the opportunity to catch up there. Here is my playlist. I will also include a link in the chat for the Spotify. And thank you again, everyone, for joining us on a lovely Monday. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week, and I hope you continue to go into your week with confidence, and we hope to see you again soon. Bye.
I know the rain is falling, don't look so sad about it. I know it hurts a little, you wanna scream and shout. I got the remedy, just let the rhythm take you over and over, over and over. I know you're down, let me pick you up. I know you're strong, I know you're tough. You wanna sit, you need to move. Let me show you how to do it, feel the music, hey. You gotta clap when you're happy, clap when you're sad, clap when your day is good, or when it's going bad. Don't think too much about it, just keep your head in the sky. Now don't it feel good to say, hey, hey. Clap when you're happy, clap when you're sad, clap when your day is good, or when it's going bad. Don't think too much about it, just keep your head in the sky. Now don't it feel good to say, hey, hey. I got a new solution to all of this confusion. You'll feel so glad you made it, don't make it complicated. This is a brand new day, just let the music take you over and over, over and over. I know you